All right, y'all. Today we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business. Let's see if it's local or city search. Well, actually, they're both combined here. Have BSS, yes or no? All right, so we're back here in the GBC universe where we're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. And as always, our North Star here is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More about that, pinned video up on the top, homepage, wherever. Now, this is because FSIC explains that all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we got in white down there, our intent, basically our intent spectrum, highest intent on the left, lowest intent over on the right. And so if a boudoir photography business is rising, it's most likely bringing in peeps from the entire intent spectrum, the whole length. And if a boudoir photography business is falling, then most likely it's missing, not bringing in, some cohort of people. Now, the highest 10 people over on the left are doing things like Google search, social media search, like a boudoir photo shoot in their city, like right now. And those people are fastest to money, highest to convert. We talk about that with BSS here in our videos. And then our sister brand, way at the end over there, name is Boudoir FB Ad Doctor. That's where we are talking about BLCS. But right now, we're only currently working with the boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads. So on to BSS. BSS is boudoir search sameness. As when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 on Google for the highest intent buyer keywords in their city. And so 0 slots is awful. I mean, we're basically dead at that point. That's because we know approximately 80% of Google searches never even reach page 2. So 80% of Google searches literally, one and done Google searches, or page 1 and done Google searches. So from page 2, only approximately 20% of searches of people searching will ever even find us. And page 1 slot, that's not good either. Or 1 slot on page 1. I mean, it's better, but we're still basically invisible because guess what? There's 10 organic slots on page 1. If we go on one of them, then there's basically 9 other boudoir photographers with 1 slot. Best scenario. Worst scenario is if another boudoir photographer is like 2 or 3, and then we're going to really never get looked at. But let's say everyone has 1. And guess what a buyer's doing? They're going down, clicking open everyone's link on page 1, because approximately 80% of buyers ain't even hitting page 2. And guess what? They're contacting everyone on page 1, getting a quote from everyone, comparing, price gets shoved down through the roof or down through the floor, and kind of steals margin from everyone. So 0, 1 slots on page 1 on Google, no, that's BSS. We cannot deal with any of that. And that's because 0, 1 slots on page 1 on Google is actually not normal. It's actually a symptom of 2 deeper root causes. So it's super common, it's accepted, but symptom of 2 deeper root causes, and those are market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. So market saturation, yeah, basically everyone knows this. It's like, seems like every week somebody gets a new iPhone, and then they're throwing up their Google My Business profile and their websites and the National Boudoir. That's kind of taking competition, page 1 organic slots away from us. Or someone gets a camera, and they're posting to the mom groups in the National Boudoir. Also, big wave of this happened during COVID. People lost their jobs, they're still earning money. So as a result, everyone's got a smartphone and an awesome camera. So pretty easy people to say that they now for boudoir. But what that does increase the supply of boudoir photographers, but the number of buyers remains the same. So that makes it harder for every seller, every boudoir photographer to be getting those clients. All right, so everyone knows that. Basically, everyone knows that. Basically, nobody knows about this second thing, which is the false belief of page 1 equality. So that is kind of boudoir photographers kind of automatically assuming without even questioning that every boudoir photographer is entitled, to like either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And, maybe they had their slot 8 on page 1 of Google with their website. So new boudoir photographers came in, ranked higher, and got pushed out to page 2. And it's like, oh, well, every boudoir photographer gets 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. It is what it is. And basically, they're believing there's nothing that can be done about it. So this is 100% incorrect. And I know this for a fact because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on Google, on page 1 of Google, to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google in only 10 days with this new strategy we're going to show you all today, or that I'll describe today. And it's kind of like we got to break through the mental barrier of accepting this as a false belief. And then once we do that, we can see, okay, there is a solution out there that we'll get to in like 2 pictures here. That, okay, we can use this to actually literally get as many page 1 slots on Google as we want to put in the effort for. Next, a boudoir photographer BSS is a disappearing boudoir photographer, a DBP. So, disappearing boudoir photographer. Basically, if we got 0 or 1 slots on page 1 on Google, we're disappearing because we're either on page 2 or deeper, and approximately 8% of searchers are never going to find us, and that's the bulk of the market that we care about. And if we got one slot on page one on Google, we're being price shopped against the other 9, destroying our margins. We're basically invisible anyways. And we care about this because a disappearing boudoir photographer is the warning light. It's kind of the the red flag going up, where a disappearing boudoir photographer precedes the boudoir photography business itself disappearing. So that's why we care about that. And we got our micro universe here. We got disappearing with boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness. It's caused by the dual horns of market saturation and page one the false belief of page one equality, where we accept it's a false belief. So we're like, okay, now what's the solution? Boom, we finally got a solution. But through our testing, we've learned that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka S-cubed methodology. And we know this works because we invented it. It's what I use to go from 0 out of 10 slots, page one of Google, to 9 out of 10 slots, page one of Google, in only 10 days. And I mean, it works exactly as it's described. We saturate social search with the highest intent keywords, pick up as many slots on social as possible on social search, and that kind of acts as like the backside of the Andes Mountains in South America, where the streams, small rivers from the backside of the Andes Mountains actually all flow together to the Amazon River, and into the big Amazon River. That big Amazon River is like page one of Google, and so, but it all starts with social search saturation. That's where it all stems from. And the cool thing about this is the only solution I've ever seen for boudoir photographers that can successfully fight against market saturation, so maintain the business and not decline, but also still grow in the face of market saturation, and for it to happen relatively quickly. And those at least visible results of getting on page one of Google that happen relatively quickly. The only other solution that I have seen is having a strong brand, but that takes 5 to 10 years, which doesn't satisfy the relatively quickly criteria that we need. Because dude, we're in the AI. Dude, AI taking peep shops. We gotta get as much. We gotta get as much slots on page one as Google as possible before AI starts taking people's jobs. And I mean, it's pretty easy to see. S-cubed methodology can do this. So imagine we're in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and there's 1 million boudoir photographers. Everyone's got their websites and they shoot boudoir. So page one competition is insanely crazy. And let's say we take, we see that and we say, okay, we got to take S-cubed methodology to the max. So what we actually do is we actually do S-cubed methodology so hard that we're like the first 300 slots on social search for the highest intent keywords, highest intent buyer keywords for boudoir in our city across all the social networks. And then let's say that flows onto Google, and we're taking like the first 300 slots on Google for the highest intent keywords for boudoir buyers in our city. And it's 10 organic slots per page on Google. So we're really taking out the first 30 pages on Google. So anytime any buyer looks up, types in a high intent buyer keyword into Google, or even any of the social networks, they're only seeing us. They basically got to go to like page 31 on Google to essentially find any of our competitors. And so once that happens, then basically once that happens, and buyers can essentially only find us. They only see us. Who are they going to go with? Obviously us, whose business will be growing, even though there's 999,999 other boudoir photographers. Obviously us, and whose business will be dying and disappearing because they essentially cannot be found at all for anyone searching. All our competitors. So again, this is why I said the S-cubed methodology is the only thing I've seen that helps boudoir photographers maintain and still grow their business in the face of market saturation. That happens, or I can get on page one of Google relatively quickly, way faster than brand. And in my estimation, I could probably build that brand about 8x faster normally, because we show up so much more on so many other surfaces. Now, once you're with S-cubed methodology, we now have page one visibility. So we got multiple slots on page one of Google as an initial benefit. Second initial benefit is every new slot we get on page one of Google, we're actually kicking one of our competitors at that slot, push them off to page one or deeper, making so approximately 80% of Google searches can never find them. So we turn them into disappearing boudoir photographers, where if they stay there, they're eventually going to exit, be kicked out of the market. So this is an awesome, second initial benefit of using S-cubed methodology. So we're making other peeps invisible. And page one visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So BSV, we actually, this is where our GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on page one of Google comes in. So The GBC universe recommends 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 on Google, because basically every other boudoir photographer page 1 on Google will have 1 out of 10 slots, or 1 slot. So if we see 3, or if a buyer sees 3, they're kind of subconsciously going to think, man, why is Google recommending this person so much? I guess I'll click into them and may not even click on any of our competitors. And second reason GBC Universe recommends 3 out of 10 as the minimum, because there's a tiny, tiny, tiny chance another boudoir photographer can have 2, which means we also got to be able to dominate them in that case as well, with us having 3. So, and the recommendation of 3 is basically if we got 3 out of 10 page 1 on Google, we're basically guaranteeing we're not declining. So we're guaranteeing we're either, treading water, so maintaining the business, or growing the business. Most likely growing the business, but at least we're at least not declining. That's like the big goal here. And finally, a boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility is a visible boudoir photographer. So we got our full micro universe here. A disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by the dual horns of market saturation and page 1 and the false belief, page 1 equality. Now we have the solution S-cubed methodology. We achieve page 1 visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. All right, now my results doing this. So I wanted to rank for the term BLCS boudoir. So I know, okay, the exact thing I do for that is S-cubed methodology. I want to have as many slots page 1 Google as possible. Let's go down the organic slots. And we got organic slot 1, Instagram, me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. Slot 9, no, I'm not slot 9. Slot 10, me. So dude, I went from 0 out of 10 slots to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google in only 10 days, purely using S-cubed methodology. So these are the results I've gotten for myself with it. All right, we're here for the main event. We're going to check and see, is this boudoir photography business have BSS for its search? It's local and its city search combined in this one. I think we're in like a small town, small city. See if we hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 page 1, Google page 1 slots. All right, so we're going to Aberdeen, North Carolina. All right, nice. Let's see. Aberdeen, Maysville. Nope, we ain't searching for that. All right, nope, nope, nope. Had that. Nope, 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 nope. Here we go. We got one. Oh, she's in North Carolina and NYC. Okay. Okay, we got 1 out of 10. All right, so we got 1 out of 10. And since we got 1 out of 10, we got BSS for this local/city search, and we also did not hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 page 1 Google slots. So if you are a disappearing boudoir photographer, so you've done the, you've done your local search, you've done your city search for the highest intent keywords that a boudoir buyer would be searching, and you either have BSS for one of them, or for one of them, or both, you're not hitting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google. And you understand the false belief of page 1 equality, and you're like, oh yeah, that actually makes sense. We can actually take as many slots as we want, because Google will give them to us if we put in the work. And so you're seeing that S-cubed methodology is literally exactly what you've been waiting for. And you're like, yes, this is the perfect solution for me. So I got to use this thing. And you understand the market saturation. The 2 prongs, people get new iPhones, people get new cameras, kind of the gear saturating the market. But when you actually look at the outcomes of S-cubed methodology, you're saying, okay, first page, yeah, more kind of initial benefits, more page 1 slots, and secondarily, kicking more competitors out of page 1 slots and up to page 2, effectively making them invisible. So you're liking those initial benefits, and you're looking ahead from kind of at this market saturation thing, and you're seeing AI is taking more and more people's jobs. You're like, uh-oh, there's kind of going to be a much higher increasing number of boudoir photographers entering the marketplace, and over and over time as AI takes more people's jobs. That's on top and above kind of the standard new gear people entering the marketplace. So you're seeing, man, you decide you're going to fortify your spot on page 1. Literally have so many slots on page 1 that you actually have like backup links in waiting that Google wants to rank on page 1 but can't, because we've taken so many slots that literally kind of the new peeps that come into the market will never even be able to rank on page 1 on Google. So it's kind of like you're saying that you also want to use that S-cubed methodology, which it's perfect for, to kind of fortify those levies, like down in Nolens, Louisiana, they got the levees to keep the ocean out. You want to set up your Boudoir page one domination levees. So you're seeing SQ methodology is perfect for that, and you want to achieve page one visibility. You want to become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility because you know you need those things in order to become the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. And you're also liking the future kind of future benefits of successfully executing SQ methodology every single day, which is every single day we execute it correctly. We are actually we're creating these invisible thematic keyword columns around our brand, like attached to our brand, kind of like columns like the Parthenon in Greece, or spokes going to the the middle of the hub of the bike tire. And these things are basically AI mindshare. So every day we're building that up, building it up, an increase in probability. We're showing up here the AI overview, the most premium placement right now, showing only one slot, the primary slot. I mean, this is going to help get buyers, obviously. And the secondarily, kind of the other longer term benefit is every day we do this correctly, we're increasing the probability that standard AI search and all these different AI search apps recommend us as well. ChatGPT search, Claude, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot search, Google Gemini search. And, Google's still approximately 80% of all search, but I haven't done standard Google search in probably like a year. I've always been using the AI overview button. It's basically like summarize it for me. I don't want to read nothing. And so you're seeing that. You're seeing people use AI. It's literally more and more and more every single day. And so you need to be increasing the probability you're showing up on AI search. And dude, last time I searched for boudoir photographer with AI search, I literally brought up 3 of them. But then I actually went like through Google and all these different searches to find how manually how many are out there in the city. And there's approximately like 60. So dude, we gotta get on these top 3 slots. And again, what's the best solution out there that helps with that? SQ's methodology. It helps give all these benefits. And you're also seeing that you've decided that you're gonna be the first mover in your city on using SQ methodology, because my current plan is to only work with one boudoir photographer per city and lock everyone else out. So you're saying you can get all these initial benefits, get all these future benefits, and lock out all your competitors from using the strategy and build up kind of those invisible thematic keyword column momentum, like back-end AI mindshare, while your competitors have no idea what's going on. And we're able to put so much distance between you and your current competitors, and definitely any future competitors, that makes it a no-brainer. And conversely, if one of your competitors was to come with me first, and I would lock you out, then you're also seeing you would actually have to rederive S-cubed methodology all on your own. You have no idea if you had derived it or rederived it correctly or not. And then you'd have to successfully equal our execution every single day. But if you did that, you would simply maintain the gap that me and your competitor would have already gotten ahead of you with. And so to kind of close the gap, you'd actually have to out execute us by like 2 or 3x every single day and begin pulling those invisible thematic keyword columns, momentum, mindshare, AI mindshare we had already been achieving away from us and towards yourself. And you still would not even have 100% confidence you've derived SQ methodology correctly in the first place. And so doing all that, like, dude, who's got 60 to 80 hours in a day to do all that stuff? So you decide to screw that. You're going to be the first mover in this. You don't want to deal with a competitor getting it. So if that's you, shoot me a DM. And shoot me a DM when the hospital is open for new patient intake. Hospital is currently closed for new patient intake. So you cannot DM me even if you wanted to. And no, you cannot work with me right now, even if you wanted to. But when I do open the hospital for new patient intake, shoot me a DM and we'll see if you qualify for using our SQ'd methodology.